Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bald Fox Podcast. This is Guy on the line, and I'm here with
Anthony Garibay. So, Guy, last time we were sitting down, you were telling us about, your the way you grew up, where you grew up, how you grew up. I mean, and there was a lot. People go through a lot of things. Definitely, Guy has been through some things, so he's definitely overcome a lot in life, and I appreciate that. That was a lot of inspiration. So, now you're moving forward. You're a successful businessman. So tell us, how does somebody start a business? I know a lot of people are looking at that, especially these days.
Yeah. And, that's a good point. Today, since the world has changed with COVID and all these different elements that have come in, people are more wanting to build self-businesses, right?
Sure, yeah.
They want to become self-employed. They want to have the options to be able to work at home.
Yeah.
We've learned through COVID that we can successfully work digitally.
Yeah.
And the footprint of having bodies in a workspace is reducing. It's shrinking,
Sure,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
So predominantly, if you look back in history, you have doctors and lawyers, and these are professional, jobs, right? These are professionals.
Careers that people went to school for, got
100%.
degrees for, what have you, yeah.
Similarly, if you were a broker or a real estate agent, at one point, that was like being a doctor and attorney. You were you were a professional.
Sure, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You knew that you had somebody that studied, that had, taken state exams, that,
Right.
Was an expert in the field of real estate and lending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And they wore suits and, they looked like a professional.
Yeah.
The world's changed.
Oh, yeah.
So as we know, I was part of that world in the late 90s.
Okay.
So I started working for this construction company that did Texacoating and Anderson vinyl windows,
Right.
dual pane energy efficient windows.
Okay.
And they would get a lot of customers that they couldn't get financed.
Oh, wow.
So I found that's right. I found alternative financing
Okay.
through HSBC and other different companies that would give these people loans that they were able to pay for these products.
Nice.
Okay. I was then recruited to an old company called AmeriQuest Mortgage.
Wow.
Interesting.
Old school.
Old school. And this is back when rates, were 8 and 9%. I remember a person that had the highest credit score, the lowest LTV on a 228 was still a 699 best rate.
Wow.
And this was, in the late 90s, right?
Okay.
Well, I was a top producer in doing that. I just was good. I understood it. It's almost like it was in my bones.
Yeah.
Okay. And shortly after that, a couple of guys approached me and said, "Hey, Guy, we want you to come in and help us, manage a branch."
All right.
I'm like, "All right, I'm in."
Yeah.
So I show up at this shop in Santa Ana, and I kid you not, one of the guys, there's two partners, and one of the guys, he ended up getting fired because he didn't close enough loans. He only closed a couple loans in 6 months.
Oh, dang.
And the other one, got fired because he couldn't quite comprehend the business.
Yeah.
So these two decided to join together and open up a company.
All right.
When I found this out, I'm shaking my head going, oh my God, what have I got myself
miserably.
into? So it was interesting because, they went off and of course they were buying the cubicles and doing all this stuff. It was a different platform that I had to learn, right? Because I didn't know, some of the intricacies of the broker side. I worked on the lender side.
Yeah.
Well, I quickly picked it up. I remember I closed my first transaction and my commission was $8,000.
Oh, wow.
And I'm
Nice.
like, nice.
Yeah, I need more of this.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a drug. You feed on it. You're like, ooh, if I can do one, I can do five. I can do, and this is kind of where the salesperson mentality, is developed, right?
Yeah, right.
You want to make them hungry. You want to show them that you can take a bite, you can have the whole apple. I mean, here we go. And I remember they paid me in money orders from the post office. So I got $8,000 in money orders from the post office.
That's
I'm sitting here
crazy.
going, what kind
What the heck?
they don't even have a bank account?
Yeah.
So this put me on my path that I said, okay, I'm going to have to save up enough money to open up my own shop.
Right.
Okay. So at the time, I worked my butt off and I saved $30,000.
Wow.
I opened up my first mortgage company in
Nice.
Riverside. I remember I signed the lease on the building, did a 2-year lease on a 2,000 square foot office.
Oh, wow.
And I went in, I sat my back against the wall and sat there and looked around and said, how the hell am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I remember I was so worried that I rented computers.
Wow.
Yeah. And, bought these desks and everything else. And within 9 months, I had taken that company to be licensed in 37 states and had 17 locations with almost 200 employees across the country.
Ooh, nice. Very nice.
I then grew that company in becoming a lender, as well as we lent our own money to second trust deeds and so forth. Now, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So in building businesses, it's not just snap your finger and poof, there it is, right? It is a lot of trial and error.
Sure.
It is a lot of figuring things out. And people don't realize what actually goes into running a company. Okay. And it doesn't go perfect. If anybody tells you that, hey, you can just go be, an entrepreneur and start a business and you're going to make millions of dollars and everything's going to be easy, they're lying to you.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
It does happen from time to time, but statistically, it does not. That's why the theory is most businesses fail in the first 2 years.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. There is a whole process. Let's go through some of the things. Okay. So if you are a new business and you're wanting to create, you're going to have one of multiple options. Now, by the way, I have failed a lot in my life.
Yeah, got it.
I have also been successful a lot in my life. I have learned through the trial and tribulations, through my errors and mistakes and knowledge of seeing and building how the things are done and how you can be destroyed. Okay? So, you first have to decide whether you're going to be a sole proprietor, which means you're going to file a DBA under your name personally.
Yeah.
And everything is going to be, you're going to be personally liable under your Social Security. Okay. You can get an EIN or a tax identification number to, pay taxes and do things of that nature. However, the more feasible and better route is to either form a LLC, a limited liability company or corporation, or a corporation itself. Now, there is 2 differences in corporations.
Yeah.
You have an S Corp and you have a C Corp. Okay. An S Corp acts like an LLC in the aspect of it does a pass through to you personally on your taxes. Okay. So at the end of the year, I am not a tax advisor. So please seek legal advice and tax advice from your accountant.
There you go.
Small disclaimer,
Small
sorry.
disclaimer, yeah.
But an S Corp, essentially, the company makes $100,000. You have $90,000 in expenses. At the end of the day, there's $10,000 left over. That $10,000 is going to pass through on a schedule to your personal tax return. It will be a schedule on your tax return. Whereas a C corporation, so you're only, by the way, the S Corp, the reason for that is you're only taxed once.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is typical for people that have small businesses. Okay. You're a small company. You're not doing tens of millions of dollars. This is a feasible way to basically control your elements, and in that way it passes through and you only get taxed on your personal. You can offset and away it goes. Okay.
Sure.
Now, on a C corporation, This is typically for companies that have more employees, making more revenue. The corporation now will have its taxes.
Mm.
You will pay corporate tax, and that money will retain with the company.
Got it.
Well, how do me as an owner get paid?
Yeah.
Well, you better become an employee of your company and get on payroll.
Yeah.
So now you're getting a W-2 and a pay stub.
Which may be good for budgeting too.
Right. And that's also how you reduce your corporate income or taxes by paying yourself a payroll, which now you can show your income. Remember, being self-employed, the biggest thing is we try to write off as much as we can. So we lessen our tax burden.
Yeah.
Well, that sometimes backfires.
Sure.
Okay. Because what if you want to go apply for a home?
Yeah.
Or a car? You need to be able to show income.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're always trying to get away from one, but we need the other.
Sure. Yep.
By the way, when you set up a corporation, you only have a certain amount of time, and it's somewhere between 30 and 90 days. You'd have to check the guidelines on that to make your status election on whether you're going to be an S corporation.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not make that S election, they're automatically going to make you a C corporation.
Got it.
And if you think at the end of the year, you're magically just going to slide it on through to your personal, you've got a problem here because you haven't done the election. Now your CPA or accountant or advisor, whoever's doing your taxes, is going to have to go back, try to correct all that to get that done. It's problematic.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have a corporation. Obviously you've gone through the steps of going on through the Secretary of State, making sure that your name's available, filing your corporate documents and getting your articles of incorporation. From there, you immediately go over to the IRS and you get your EIN, your employer's identification number. Okay. Now you're becoming a legitimate business. Now what do? So now you need to establish your company.
Okay.
You need to contact people that do websites.
Sure. Yep.
Get a website set up. Get a telephone number set up. Start looking at how people are going to reach you.
Yeah.
That way you have a professional email. You have, communications. We are in a digital world today.
Instagram.
You got to set up your social media. All of your ways of marketing and media. This has to be done. Social media is now the largest form of marketing and advertising in the world.
Yep.
It is the most cost-effective way to market compared to the old buy ad days. Okay? People can see now through social media, they can geo-target your clients for you to drive traffic to you. But if they don't know you exist, they're not going to come. Doesn't matter how amazing, life-saving, wonderful your product is.
Yep.
So now you've got all of those parameters done. You've set up your company. You've made your elections. You've got your EIN. You've now opened up a bank account because if you're going to sell anything, the money has to go somewhere. It can't go in your personal account. It needs to go into the business. You need to make sure, probably right off the get-go, so you don't get too far behind chasing your tail, and it's going to be costly or not. There's online accounting softwares that you pay a monthly fee or whatever. You need to set it up right off the bat.
Yeah.
That way you can set invoices. That way you could sync it to the bank accounts to track the income. You can categorize it all so you know where your expenses are. You can set up payroll. It's up to you whether or not you want to outsource and hire an ADP to do payroll or initially do it all through QuickBooks.
Yeah.
It has all the calculations for taxes and formulas in there.
Yep.
You can do it all there now. It's all automagic. Okay? Automagic. So once you get more employees and you need more stuff, you need to file the quarterlies and all that stuff, you can go to an ADP and everything else. They can help you with that.
Sure.
Right? But in the beginning, you don't. Now, a lot of times we're struggling, right? We're starting off a new business. We got a great idea and we got a new product. We don't have any money.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Well, either you're going to hustle and make sales to generate revenue, or you're going to go out and have to borrow money.
Yeah.
There are a number of different ways, depending on certain things, criterias. And let's just say you're somebody that has good or excellent credit. You know, you can establish credit for your business.
Okay.
You can get credit cards. You can get lines. You will have to be a personal guarantor for the first couple of years until you establish those. After you've established that, you get at least 3 or more trade lines. You can create what's called a Dun & Bradstreet rating, your Paydex score. There's Experian for Business and Equifax to help you long term. So as your business grows, you can rely more on the company to make action happen, not that of your personal anymore.
Got it.
But initially, you're on the hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? You got to remember, everything is a growth process. You've got to sit there and itemize it out. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Mm-hmm. Have a plan. Start working that plan. That's what's so hard.
Yeah.
Being self-employed requires you to be disciplined. It is not perfect. Yeah. You will make mistakes. Things that you didn't do today, don't stop that from doing it tomorrow. We're blessed and fortunate. Life is a gift.
Yep.
And we get to wake up each day to try to fulfill our dreams. And the dreams that we didn't complete today, we have tomorrow to fight again. And that's the mythology that you should live with each and every day while you're trying to build your business. Right. What are things that affect us in business? Money, okay? Money, emotions.
Yeah.
Your environment.
Sure.
The reason why the old days required people to come into an office is they wanted them to, like they went to school, they got educated, they wanted them to be disciplined, they wanted them to take care of themselves, dress up, look professional, come in, be clean cut, sit there at the desk, do your job. Here's the thing. The reality of the world is, and it hasn't changed, there are leaders and there are followers. Yep. Okay? That is okay. It doesn't matter which category you're in. People, nobody wants, I'm a follower. Look, at the end of the day, everybody has skill sets, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and try to fix an electrical box. Just not going to do it.
Sure.
I don't have the skill set to do it.
Right.
Okay? But somebody who is working for an electrical company or working for Edison or whoever else, they do.
Right.
Okay? And just because they are a professional, they know how to do that skill set, doesn't demean their ability to do things. However, remember something. Their job came because somebody else created it.
Right.
Okay? So leaders are people who are supposed to, 1, create opportunities.
Yeah.
2, promote opportunities. Inspire, your favorite word.
There you go.
Inspire people to become greater.
Right. To
go after their dreams and their ambitions. We all have different dreams and ambitions when it comes to what we want to do in life.
Yeah. Yep.
It's funny. Younger and younger people go, oh, what do you want to do when you're older? Oh, I don't know. Or I want to do this. But the path they end up taking doesn't always lead them there.
Sure.
A lot of times we go for what's safe and not what we want. A lot of times we settle out of necessity instead of struggling for our aspirations of happiness and growth.
Yeah.
This is common. It happens every day. We're all subject to it. We all play role to our own neglect of our success and strength and reward of our success.
Yeah.
Okay? We'll take, as I built businesses, you hire sales reps. It was a mortgage business. My first company was a major company, was a mortgage company, right? And you hired sales reps and loan officers. Hold on, sorry.
Sure.
Loan officers.
Loan reps.
And these loan officers, were professionals. They went in there, they priced out your loan, they looked at all the programs, they structured your deal, they basically were pre-underwriting you before it went to an underwriter. The underwriter came back, gave conditions. Now, they made pretty good money doing this. They made more than the average bear did.
Yeah.
That was a professional that went to college.
Man.
So somebody that went and, to college to make $100,000 a year, I had some reps that were making $40,000 or $50,000 a month.
Wow.
Now, what do you do when somebody is, and there's different personalities, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, a lot of business is managing personalities. It doesn't matter if it's on a customer basis, an employee basis, you're just the relationship of negotiating and how things are. It's all a necessity of negotiating and managing personalities.
Yeah.
Okay. You're either building products or you're dealing with the consumer. There's so many different variables of how it happens, right? So a salesperson, they have to get on there and they got to get you excited about that product.
Yeah.
I'm the guy you want to go to for the loan because with my expert and experience, I'm going to be able to provide you the best products available on the market.
Right.
I'm going to make sure that by the time we're done, you are fully educated on everything you need to know about this industry and your loan so that you've left with the best home product on the market.
Nice.
And you don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay? That's our job. That's what the job is.
Sure.
Now, it's funny. I had some sales reps that were just automatic. They went out there and they hammered it.
Yeah.
And they were great. They were very professional. They were very educated. They did a great job with their clients, and they were cool. Sometimes that can be problematic as well because somebody makes too much money. All of a sudden, I remember I gave this guy a deal. I was really slammed with a whole bunch of clients. I didn't want this particular client to be neglected. All he had to do was go out and do the signing for their loan docs.
Okay.
And he would have made $2,000.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not worth my time." I fired him the next week.
Nice.
And he was one of my top producers because I need each and every person to be just as passionate about their customer, regardless of how much money they're making on them.
Yeah.
Okay. It can't always be about money. You have to be willing to educate and provide your best service and product.
Right.
I was willing to give it away because I was worried that even though I did all the work, I just couldn't follow through because I had too much on my plate and I didn't want the ball to get dropped. And I was willing to give that to somebody and say, here's a gift.
Yeah.
So anyways, there was a guy, I remember I had this other guy, Jeff, and he sold his first deal. He made like 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
And the old philosophy is that a salesperson, how do you keep them working? You put them, you have them go get debt.
Yeah.
It's a bad philosophy. This guy here, he went out and bought himself an S500 Mercedes.
Woo. Had to keep it.
Let me tell you, if he didn't have to hustle because that payment was some dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he had a bigger car payment than I had, and I own the company.
I've done that a couple times.
Oh, trust me, I know it all too well. But building a company, it can be fun.
Yeah.
And when you're successful, it feels great. But there is a lot of work that you have to put into it.
Sure.
It is a discipline day in and day out. It is a retuning day in and day out. It is being responsible. If you are somebody who, for example, is a drinker, you're probably not, my opinion, probably statistics might back it up, you're probably not going to be ultimately as successful as someone who drinks less or none.
Right.
Because your philosophy is, well, I'm going to go network and I got to go to a bar and we're going to do, nightlife and do all these things.
Yeah.
You're not going to be as functional. Now, not to get me wrong, there are people that are fully functional when they drink.
Yeah.
But it is you have to be in control of your life and your success.
Yeah, from what I understand, that real estate mortgage world, there's a lot of that.
A lot of it. It's all built on networking, right?
Yeah.
The loan officers are trying to build relationships with the real estate agents.
So they're buying them drinks like crazy.
They're mingling and networking because everybody wants to have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reality of it is that we need to remember as we're building businesses, and even if you are let's just say a loan officer or a real estate agent, even if you're hanging your license with somebody, you essentially are still your own independent business, right? They provide you a platform and products and services for you to utilize for your success. You have big companies like UWM that dumps an astronomical amount of products and services to assist you in being successful.
Training and whatnot,
they have point programs that will fly you to Michigan to their facility for trainings. They do all kinds of things to allow you and assist you to be successful. But you have to be responsible for it.
Got it.
They can't do it for you. Nice. That is the biggest thing. We are our biggest cheerleader of success, and we are our worst enemy in the destruction of our success.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Look at the things that you did when you woke up and you made a plan. How did you attack that plan? Set the plan each morning on what your goals are for the day. Understand that life is not perfect, so things are going to change. Yeah. At the end of that day, evaluate how you did, how you executed your plan, where you felt you were successful, and where did you get off track? What did you do to bring yourself back on track? If you didn't, how can you correct that moving forward so that you can make tomorrow more successful than today? Wow. Remember that you have tomorrow. Don't use it as an excuse not to be successful today, but be grateful that anything you didn't do, or you failed at, or you didn't achieve, you get to do tomorrow. Also, remember to reward yourself for the successes that you've already done.
Nice.
As we move along, you want to take baby steps in your own personal growth. Don't be so stuck that this is the only way. Our world is evolving.
Yeah.
It evolves so rapidly in so many ways with digital technology and the advancement of AI and all these things that our world is going to change, and we either learn to adapt and change with it, or we're going to fall behind.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in wrapping some of this up here real quick, I think it is great that everybody is wanting to become, entrepreneurial and be business owners and own their rights so they can spend more time with their family. Remember, families, you need to be supportive. It is hard enough to build a business that with negativity, we carry it. We carry it through the day. It's a weight on our shoulder.
Sure.
And we're trying to be successful, learn from our mistakes, do better to provide you, our children, our families, our friends, and ourselves a better life and opportunity.
The American dream.
That is it. And all we want to do is have our piece in this world to where we have something that we're proud of and that we can extend a legacy to.
Definitely. Support is so important.
It is. All right. For today, that is it. This is Guy on the Line. Thank you for listening to The Bald Fox, and I look forward to our next episode. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Thank you very much, sir.